Welcome to Hello You. Yes, you. The podcast that opens up the full spectrum of mental health like never before. We're not here to skim the surface. We go deep into every corner of the human experience. From international athletes to high-powered CEOs, everyday heroes to global change makers. Our guests bring raw, real, and radically different perspective on what mental health really means. This is your space, a place for truth, stories, and connection. Whether you're thriving, surviving, or somewhere in between, we're here to remind you you're not alone. So pull up a chair, take a breath, and let's talk about the stuff that matters. Welcome to the most open, honest, and inclusive mental health conversation in the world. I'm your host, Dan Darwin, and welcome to Hello You. Hello You would like to thank our title sponsors, the Loss Prevention Department at Next PLC. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Hello You. And today's guest is Mike Cox. So, Mike, would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers and listeners?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm Mike. I've known Dan for a while. I'm a stand-up comedian. What else do you want to know about me? Been around a bit.
Yeah.
Been stand-up now for about 11 years. Probably professional about 6, maybe, something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty much everyone.
Okay.
Everything anyone needs to know about me.
So the purpose of this podcast and the reason we do it is to raise awareness of mental health and to show that it is individual and it affects everybody. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. So the reason I wanted Mike to come on, and obviously Mike's already hinted on, I've known Mike for a while. We served together in the police together. So we're going to look at the highs and lows of the police career, what prompted and where you wanted to go. Was it always the dream to be a stand-up comic? Was that?
Longer than I ever wanted to be a police officer, for sure. Yeah. Right. I always wanted something to do with comedy, probably my whole life. It's just something I've always been drawn towards. Like when I was younger, I always enjoyed like comedy. My dad had tons of albums, like LPs and stuff, and he had like Jasper Carrot and some of the old school, like Jeff Rowe. My granddad was into Jeff Rowe and stuff, so I sort of used to follow a lot of that old stuff, and I used to just love the way that they would be able to command an entire room with nothing.
Yeah,
that's what I love about stand-up, the artistry of it, is that you can just have a person and a microphone, and you could entertain anything between 2, because I've done that, right up to thousands of people. Yeah. So that really drew me in as something that I was always amazed by. But as life goes by, you don't always think that you can achieve these things. You see these on the telly, and you go like, oh, that's what they do. I'll have to find my own working class path, basically. Something I always wanted to do. Always did comedic roles when I did drama and stuff, because of course I did drama. Yep. I did that. And then just as I go through life, I kind of fell into the police in a way. It sounds like an odd thing to do because it's quite a hard thing to get into. Yeah. But I kind of, as I was going, I'm very much like an ant, right? And what I mean by that is I don't have a future plan. I just deal with what's in front of me, right? Okay. So as I'm going through life, I just think, right, well, now I've finished college, I need to get a job. So I went and got a job that was nothing to do with what I did at college. Yeah. And then I did that for a bit, and then I go, right, what do I do next? Well, my mate's got a job. I went to work at Travis Perkins for a year just because there was a job there. Yeah. And then my dad, who worked in Hove at the time, said, there's a company near me that's doing prison vans. I went, well, that pays more than forklifts. I'll go do that. So I did that. Yeah. And then as I'm doing that, the prison vans, it became terrible. Right? There was no progression in it. It was boring. It didn't really fulfill me. What do you do next with these skills? Oh, well, some of the stuff that you could do is transferable to the police. My mum was saying, you'd be a great police officer. You know how to talk to people. You could be a police officer. So I went and did that. Yeah. Lo and behold, 14 years later, I suddenly realised that I don't want to talk to those people. I want to talk to a different type of people in a different way. And again, the only thing that prompted me into it was I ended up needing an operation on my ankle because of an old football injury being exacerbated by standing out on Portsmouth Guildhall for 5-6 hours in the cold. Yeah. I ended up needing an operation on my bones in my ankle. I ended up getting a blood clot, which nearly killed me. And while I was in hospital, I was like, God, you could have died this week and you'd never done stand-up. And it was that made me go, go and do it. So as soon as I was well again, I went and did it, and I never stopped.
Yeah. Strange, isn't it, how something like that prompts you to see how short life is. And I think at some point we all have that moment where we go, life's too short. And I say, for me, mine was when my dad passed away last year. And I looked at it and thought, he's 20 years older than me. That's not a lot. If I've only got 20 years left, I've got so much I want to achieve. And then I realised how fragile and how short life is. Yeah. Maybe it would have been happier to have that in my 20s and it would have kicked me up the arse a little bit. But now it's happened, and the same thing there. So, okay, let's look at the policing stuff, and I can see how you fell into it now. And obviously we worked together for a short period of time. Did you enjoy your time in the police? Was that, even though you fell into it, was it enjoyable? How did you feel as you were going through that? Because it is a tough career. You know, having been there, I know there are highs and lows. So how did it affect Mike? How was it for you?
So I'd be a liar if I said I didn't enjoy some of it. You know, like one of the things I found as I look back on it is that quite a lot of the things that were positive were very fleeting. Like, I worked for police for 14 years, and in that 14 years, I haven't come out with anybody that still talks to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that happens in the police. You know, like, you work on the response team and you're a close-knit team. You disappear to investigations, that team will carry on without you, and they'll stop inviting you to Christmas do. Yeah. And now you've got the new set, and that's fine. You eventually find your little family on investigations, for example, because that was my journey. And then you leave investigations, which is I did. I went to training department. Investigations don't message you anymore. People who came to your wedding when you worked on investigations don't message you anymore. Yeah. And then I was in training, and then I left training, and then you're soon forgotten. And that's one of the things, like, this idea that people have that the police is this really tight-knit, we will protect you against everything, backs against the wall, we'll lie for each other, is complete nonsense. Yeah,
I totally agree with that. And I can say to you, I can count on one hand the amount of people that I keep in touch with that are still in the job. I've got a couple of people like yourself and stuff that I would consider outside of the job as acquaintances, friends. But you're right, there is the camaraderie that you talk about is fleeting. It is fickle. And yeah, it's Dan who, a couple of weeks after you've left, Dan who, and they were your little family for that period of time. Yeah. So I massively agree with you, and I can feel everything you say there, and it's true. And I think that people look in, don't they, and think what it is. Once you've been inside the belly of the beast, you realise it's not like that, is it?
It's nothing like that. Like, one of the things that I really affected me throughout my career was I really felt a lack of trust of the people around me, because there's a culture now in the police where, and it was something that people argue now begins in training, and it was something I saw. Do you remember when you joined, you made the tea for the shift? Yeah. You turn up, you're the newest, you make the tea for the shift. It's not bullying. It was just something that you did. Sometimes some characters will stand up to that, and some characters will survive standing up to that, and some won't. And sometimes, not to say that it doesn't go too far, because you are going to get people on the shift that behave in a certain way that they shouldn't, and it maybe is testing and challenging for some. I think probably people have got a little bit better at identifying who can take stuff and who can't. That was something that maybe didn't used to happen. But now it's completely gone. It's nobody is equal, right? Everybody says that they are, but there isn't. You've got somebody on shift who's done 15 years. They are higher, even though they're the same rank, than somebody who has done 6 months still on probation, right? Yeah. There's a hierarchy there. And what's sort of happened now is that new recruits are told to forget that hierarchy and be equal. And I don't think that helps anyone. Now what tends to happen is that there's this promotion of you will report everything that you see to someone, even if it is a comment that could have been challenged with the individual that didn't need to go any further than that. Yeah. That is now reported. Everything's reported. So I question, and I've not been a police officer for 4 years now, so I might sound like an angry old git, but how can you be yourself in the job if you fear making the slightest mistake? Obviously, there is no place for people who have misogynist opinions or, are homophobic or racist. And that needs 100. That's not what I'm talking about. No. but people will say things that they don't realise.
Mm-hmm.
And there used to be a culture of being pulled to one side and going, you need to stop that because this is the problem with it. And people go, fair enough.
Yeah.
Now it's gone snide and people will go off and report it. And then as soon as it gets in the teeth of somebody who goes, oh, I can use this now to evidence challenging situations. I can use this now to evidence, whatever it evidences. But I found that there was no trust there. And one specific thing that happened to me, which was the beginning of the downfall for me, when I just realised this is not a place I want to stay in. Right? I dealt with a difficult situation, not really for me, but for the people involved. It was ongoing domestic. People have fallen out. And it was tit for tat all the time. Like he would report her, she would report him, never any evidence, one word against the other. And this was a constant ongoing thing. And I just happened to be the third person who picked it up. I had to tell him after she had been arrested that there was nothing we could do. She denied it. There was no evidence, no witnesses. The only person who was there was a 3-year-old child, and it's not in the public or that child's interest to ask them, pick a favourite. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I phone him up and I say, unfortunately, this is the situation. He starts being rude to me down the phone, aggressive, swearing at me. I try to give him some advice on how to deal with that situation, and I won't give too much away. But I gave him some, pretty sensible advice, safeguarding advice, as best as I could in my position, right?
Yeah.
What he expected was that there was to be a police officer at his beck and call whenever there was any exchange with his partner. And I just said to him, that's not a realistic expectation. I pay your wages. You need to do what I say, the usual stuff that people say. And I just said, look, this conversation isn't going anywhere. I'm happy to work with you, but I don't work for you. All right? And I can't take control of your life. I can give you advice on how to manage it, but if you don't follow that, I cannot manage your life for you. He took serious offence to that, reported me to as being in civil, and it got upheld by my chief inspector because he couldn't be bothered to challenge it back. It was easier to stick me on for being in civil for that advice than it was to push back and go, no, you don't speak to police officers like that. He was correct in what he said. And I thought to myself, if I can get in trouble for that, what chance have I got in this job?
Yeah.
And then from that moment on, the career was dead. Like I just thought, well, I'm not doing any courses anymore because what's the point of getting extra responsibility in which you find yourself in a position where you might get that wrong?
Yeah.
So I just sort of coasted through, and then I got to the end of the training, and they wanted to stick me back out front line, and I was already now a comic. I'd been doing that for 6-7 years now, and I was like, nah, there's no way I'm going backwards.
Yeah. And I think there's a few bits there because they're really relevant to what we're talking about in terms of mental health, because there is a toxic culture. There is a blame culture. I think society look at the police, they either love us or hate us when you're a police officer. And I say us because obviously being there and done it, I still count myself as part of that collective. But it's more so now there's the divide, there's no in between. You're Marmite, it's love or hate.
Yeah.
And I think internally the culture is toxic because they're always looking for a scapegoat. They're always looking for someone who can take the blame, so it takes the heat off of someone else.
Yeah.
And really relevant in the news right now, and with internal investigations going on and the turmoil it causes on people's lives to the point where they're taking their own life.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't get away with that if you're investigating a member of the public, but yet we turn it internally and do that. And the mental health and resilience, and I'm sure when you were going through that complaint, you must have been questioning, as you said, what am I doing? What is going on here? And it then affects the rest of your life, doesn't it, all the time? Because you're thinking, what's the outcome of this?
Yeah, because as soon as you realise that you are not in what feels like a safe place, like you start to question everything. Like, well, when that happened, I was probably still relatively young in service. Like, I'm trying to guess now, maybe I'd been in 6-7 years at that point. I mean, that's nothing in a 35-year career. And you're looking at this and go, am I going to have to tread on eggshells for the next 30 years to survive this?
Yeah.
And you do hear those stories like that tragic thing in the news. From what I can tell, internal investigators, professional standards department don't play fair.
No, they don't, and I can speak from experience to say that I was under investigation for 18 months, even to the point where I'd already decided I'd gone, I resigned, I went, the investigation carried on for them to then send me a letter to say no further action. And funnily enough, coincidentally, COVID then hit. And about 3 weeks after that NFA letter to say PSD are not looking at anything anymore, sorry, Professional Standards Department for those that are listening and watching, they're not investigating that anymore. You're no further action. There's no case to answer. 3 weeks later, I got a letter saying, would you like to rejoin? Because we're struggling for numbers during COVID.
Wow.
Yeah.
Short memories.
Yes. So, I think, there's a lot we do wrong there in terms internal, and we wouldn't do it now in private sector. Things are investigated and it's expeditious and it's all handled because we're concerned about the individual. We've got to protect their mental health, their welfare. But yet that sort of goes out the window when it's internal for the police. And I think that's the bit.
Yeah, 100%. You know, if you were ever, as an investigator, which I did, I worked in investigations for like 7 years. When someone's in custody, you have to explain every couple of hours where you are and what you're doing with that job and why it isn't progressing. If you have something on your account that is slow, you constantly have to update it. You put the working sheets on, don't you, to say, this is where this investigation is. This is why I haven't progressed it. Yet, from what I can tell, there is no requirement for PSD to do that.
No.
And the number of complaints that you see going on for 9, 10, 12, really elongated periods of time. And what they don't understand is, like when you deal with, people, I don't say regular people, that's not really a fair term, but, like members of the public, they, whilst under investigation, their lives continue.
Yeah.
For a lot of people.
Yeah.
They still go to work.
Mm-hmm.
They are still doing their things. All right, sometimes there might be some bail conditions that make life difficult and stuff. This is, when you're internal investigator, it's everything because it is your job.
Yeah.
It's your future. It is, your identity a lot of the time.
Oh, without a doubt. When I left, it took me a long time to realise I wasn't a police officer anymore.
Yeah.
Because you carry that identity. I did 12 years. I was a little bit less than you. But you are. That is your identity. I'm Dan, the police officer. And that takes a long time for that to drop away. And yeah, I think you're right. With the internal stuff, it is your job. It's your reputation. That doesn't change. And the longer they leave it, you're not actually doing what you want to be doing. That stress is hanging over you the whole time. Yeah. And you're right, if you're dealt with as a member of public and you are unlucky enough to be arrested and, like you say, the bail conditions and stuff, it is only an allegation. Yes, their life carries on while the police carry on investigating. It's just part of the process. And I'm sure it does come with a lot of stresses that they think about because everybody's stress is different. Yeah. But I think, internally, they've got it all wrong and the pressure they put on, and we're seeing tragic results, and that's got to change.
100%. Yeah, there needs to be the same level of scrutiny there is on every investigation. If you can't resolve this in a decent amount of time, then maybe there is no job there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I get why they have to be sure because, if you NFA a member of the public and they carry on going to do their regular job, that's a lower level of risk. I understand that. But what I feel like sometimes is that the Professional Standards Department are like a Rottweiler and it gets something in their teeth and they can't let go. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what the actual evidence suggesting. I have decided that I think that I know what's happened here, and no amount of evidence to the contrary or lack of evidence is going to sway me from my mindset. That's not an investigative mindset.
No.
So there is, firstly, a culture change needs to happen on, stop getting your teeth into officers and then shake it until something falls out or nothing falls out, and until that person, is dead. Mm-hmm. Because that's what we're talking about here, the worst case scenario.
Yeah, and it's happening a lot. It's not isolated incidents. We're hearing of police officers taking their own lives, and rightly or wrongly, they've made a mistake, whether that's intentional. And yes, they do deserve to have punishment if it's intentional and they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, because they're in a profession where we expect high standards. And of course, they've got to get it right. But we need to take a shift, like you say, away from the fact that they're already guilty. We're going in saying they're guilty until we can prove them innocent, and they're not trying to prove them innocent. They're stuck on a path. Yeah. And I always say this as well, police are supposed to be a neutral investigating force or a service. I don't actually think they are anymore, because we treat the victims in a certain way. And then the first thing we have is an allegation then's made and somebody's liberty's taken away. The first times, and you as an investigator, I've done it as well, it's really hard to keep a neutral thought process when the only dealings with that person who the allegation's been made about, for want of better other terms, the suspect, We deal with them when they're sat in a cell or across the other side of a table in an interview situation where they are confined. There's no getting away from that. So in your head as a human, it's hard to switch off that they're responsible for doing this and to stay neutral. And I think there's something there as well. But certainly from a PSD point of view, professional standards point of view, that something's got to change, because you can't have police officers taking their own lives when they're under investigation for that long.
No, there needs to be a better support process, because one of the things I found, being under investigation myself, is that the federation, police federation, that you pay into every single month, didn't support me. And the reason is I had when I left, I had a different situation, which may be of interest because it involved comedy, actually. So basically, for a long time, I was comedy was a business interest.
Yes.
Alongside being a police officer, you have to register a business interest because you're making a bit of money, right? Now, during that time, I wasn't technically making money because whatever you make on like your £50 gigs, you have spent getting there. Yeah. So for a long time, you're breaking even. But in the interest of being fair, you know, I'm a police officer. I have to hold myself to a high ethical standard. I'm still declaring that I have a business interest, even though I've making zero cash.
Yeah.
Still costing me in some elements, right?
Yeah.
Did that for a long time. I was reporting a business interest for maybe about 7 years, 8 years, every year reviewing it and saying, look, this is my situation, you know, whatever. When I got into the training department, and one of the reasons I went to training department, as again, because I say I'm an ant, right?
Yeah.
I've gone, right, which is the department that means I can do more evenings and weekends? Yeah. Training. I like speaking to people, that'll do, right? So I go to the training department. That's when my career sort of shot up, because I was available so much more than I was before.
Okay.
So I started to make a little bit more money. I started to gig a bit more regularly, and the gigs I was doing were good gigs. You know, I was doing tour support for people. I was doing professional gigs, and the transition in the training department meant that I stopped doing free stuff, open mic stuff, things that weren't making money. I went pro in the middle of while I was doing that. Now, pandemic hits, right? During the pandemic, I don't have any comedy, none. Right, I think in the year and a half from the moment that COVID hit up to 18 months, I maybe did 8 gigs in a year and a half. 4 or 6 of those were in my own kitchen on Zoom.
Okay.
Not busy, right?
Yeah.
Also in that time frame, my wife starts a new job. She is working from home, and at the time, our children were 6 months and 3, just coming up 3. So challenging time, new job, working from home with 2 extremely dependable children, and I'm expected to still go to work every day, right? Even though in the training department, I'm going there and I sit at my desk with my mask on, sat in the little bubble, doing stuff I could be doing at home and supporting my wife, right? Immediately, when I start saying, can I do some of this from home? And I wasn't the only one saying this, you know, I wasn't by any means a pioneer, but like, I'm saying, can we do some of this at home? The suspicion that you got from your management about, why do you want to work from home? What do you think you're going to be doing there, you lazy?
Yeah.
And you're just like, hold on, is this not the guidance? If we can do it from home, we should be. Why are we now not following the rules? They made it so difficult for me, and not, well, I say for me, it's my own focus, but for everyone involved, right? That if you wanted to work from home, you had to then spend some time applying to your sergeant with a list of exactly what you were going to be doing all day. That then had to be sent back to you as approved. If it was approved, you then had to email 2 separate duty boxes to say, I'm going to be working from home and this is how you can reach me. Then in the morning, you email the same, was it the same one? No, it was a different email inbox to say, I'm from home today, here's my contact details. And then you were constantly checked up on anyway. So that was stressful. Right, and it got to the point where I can't be bothered to do this every time. I've already got the ump with this organisation because of how unsupportive they are and how difficult they make stuff. Basically what I started doing is that we started to run from 2 departments. So we would run from headquarters, and we started to use a military base because it's a bigger space to teach. And like sometimes, you know, if you're at one, you're not at the other. I'd just tell them I was at one and not the other, and I'd just be at home. But I was, you know, my house is in between them 2 things. Yeah. So if one needs me, I'm 30 seconds away. But what I haven't had to do is jump through these 1,400 hoops. Yeah. And obviously,
it's like when you're a kid and you go, I'm staying at such and such's house just to avoid the inquisition from your parents because you're going to some party somewhere they don't want you to be.
Yeah. And if there's one thing the old Bill don't like, it's maverick thinkers.
Well,
They want subordinates.
they want yes men.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And women.
So, yes.
Yes,
So,
people.
Yes, people.
If there's
So,
one thing we've learned from the old Bill, it's to be inclusive.
yes, we should be.
Yes. So there was a little bit of that, right? One of the other things that started happening is when kids could go back to nursery. My nursery drop-off was at 8 o'clock. Now, I'd always worked flexibly in the training department where, like, you know, my core hours were 8 till 4, but training don't start till 9, so sometimes you would be 9 till 5 or 10 till 6. That flexibility was there for 4 years.
Yeah.
So I would always drop my kids off at 8 and I'd get into work about 8:15, and then I would always work till 4:15, right? If that was my bit. All of a sudden, someone new comes in and says, you'll start at 8. And I was like, I can't start at 8 because my kids' nursery don't start at 8. I could drop them off at 7:30, but that is going to cost me a lot more money to drop, because you have to pay that extra, like, whatever it is for breakfast every single day. I was like, we've always been flexible, so can I just get here at 8:15? You'll miss the briefing. It's a training briefing. I don't need to know what Barbara's going to flip in photocopy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, now, this is where I just start to go like, I don't have a career. I have a problem in front of me and I'm going to react to it, right?
Yep.
So I basically just didn't listen. And I just kept turning up at 8:15. So instead of them going, Mike has a complicated home life with 2 young children and no support. Me and my wife don't live anywhere near our family.
Okay.
We're on our own.
Yeah.
And my wife's having a difficult time, and I am responding. Maybe I was responding angrily to it, like, you are not helping me in my difficult situation. Maybe I didn't verbalise how difficult I was finding it, because I was, right? And instead of them supporting me, they doubled down, retracted my business interest, and told me you cannot perform comedy anymore.
What was the reasoning?
Because their reasoning was, comedy is clearly affecting your ability to carry out your duties.
Which is ironic because that's comedy in itself, for them to be saying that.
I had to do a report that showed the last 3 years of gigs, where I'd been, how far away they were from my home, what time I got home, to what time my shift was the next day. Right? Produced 3 years of evidence to show that I has never been late. Comedy hasn't impacted on anything. And this is when I was doing 150 gigs a year.
Okay.
They're trying to suggest that 8 gigs in 18 months, 4 of which were in my house, meant that that's why I couldn't get to work at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And essentially I told them to get Ben.
Yeah.
Right, there's your report. I showed them the policy. You cannot evidence that problem A is resulted by activity B. Right?
Yeah.
You can't evidence that. You can't.
No.
They said, if you carry on, you and your business interest, we're going to stick you on. I said, good luck. So I carried on, right?
Yep.
Now, the reason I carried on is not just because I want to make money off it, right? It's like, this is where I think they got their heads wrong. They were treating it as if I was doing shifts at the Dog and Duck, or I was doing a bit of labouring. I was doing my passion. Telling me to stop doing comedy is like telling someone you can't go to gym no more.
Yeah.
You can't spend time with your kids. My entire social life is in comedy. My entire, like, I identify as a comedian, not a police officer. Like, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to stop doing this. If it means I don't take any money, I'll just not get paid for it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And it won't be a business interest anymore. I'll just keep doing open
It's a hobby.
mic.
Yeah.
It's a hobby.
Yeah.
Like, it's not my fault I got good at it. You know? And if people want to pay me money for it, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But that isn't the sole reason I got into this, right? So you cannot take this away from me. They didn't care. So I carried on gigging.
Is that playing on your mind at that point as well? So when you're being told this by your employer, who are obviously funding your lifestyle still at that point in time, feeding the kids and paying the mortgage and everything else, is it playing on your mind that they're doing all this when you're trying to do both then? You're juggling your comedy because of the passion, and you can quite clearly see that that's where you wanted to be. You know, it's your dream from a kid. You've already said that bit was that's where you wanted to be. You wanted to be a comedian. So at that point in time, when they're challenging you and they're getting you to jump through these hoops, how are you feeling through all of that?
I'm feeling angry. I wasn't worried because it felt so insane to me. Like, it felt so obvious to me that I can counter your allegation. You're saying that this is the problem, and I've already proved to you that it isn't.
Yeah.
You're saying, and I'm trying to explain to them, it's only a business interest because I get paid. You know, it's like saying people that go gym because they want to get fit. They love it. It's part of their lifestyle. But if they start putting gym content on Instagram, they make money from going to the gym. So it's basically like saying you can't go to the gym anymore. Well, if that person just stops monetizing the gym, you can't stop them going to the gym. So this was the point I was trying to make. I was just trying to say that you can't stop me doing things in my own time. And it felt so insane. Like, I even looked at forced policy and I was like, they're not following this. This doesn't fit what they're suggesting.
Yeah.
So I wasn't worried. I just found it annoying. I was like, why are you being like this? We've been fine for, bearing in mind, I say I've been in the job 14 years now and I've been a comedian for 10 of that. Why is this suddenly an issue now when I've done less comedy than I have done in the last decade?
Yeah.
And I just thought this is just annoying, but it'll sort itself out. Speak to the Federation, right? Federation could not have been more useless because by now I am being accused of not following orders given by the Chief Constable.
Okay.
And I'm going, this is not a lawful order. Like, just tell them. Show them the policy. Show them this and just tell them. We'll set up a meeting for you. Oh, okay, I'll do it then. Cheers. So I go to the Federation office one morning after having a Zoom meeting booked in because they won't see me face to face.
Yeah.
And this is long enough after COVID now where they could.
Yeah.
I turn up and I get ready, sat in front of the laptop, ready to meet the Chief Constable and explain my point. I turn my email on and at 6 p.m. the night before, her assistant had messaged and said they've cancelled it. So one of the most important moments in my entire life, you've binned me off. This tells me all I need to know about this organisation. Handed my notice in that afternoon. Right?
Yeah.
About a week into my notice, I get served gross misconduct papers for failing to follow lawful orders, and what the suggestion being that I was dishonest and my integrity was in question. Well, how can it be? I told you I wasn't going to stop.
Yeah.
I've been as honest as I've been my entire career.
Yeah.
You want me to stop? I'm not stopping. There's no lies.
Yeah.
You are acting unlawfully, as far as I'm concerned. You're not willing to hear any evidence to the contrary of that. So I'm going to leave. I don't know why. They couldn't have just gone, I'll just let him go.
Yeah.
Instead, what they do is they go, oh, here's an opportunity to absolutely stick the knife in.
Yeah.
And this is the problem.
You wouldn't get that with another employer.
Never.
They would say, okay, we're probably going to put you on garden leave. So you serve out your notice on garden leave because of the conflict that may arise, a conflict of interest that may arise having you in the office. But yeah, I agree. The police are almost like, we've got to have the last word.
Yeah.
We've got to have the last word, and we've been right all the way along, and this is just proving it.
Yeah.
So from that, you've handed your notice in, you've been served these papers for gross misconduct. What was the outcome of that? Where's it?
It took 9 months to go NFA for not in the public interest. Because of course it isn't.
No.
You telling me what constabulary wants to go Crown Court and argue with a comic about whether he can gig or not?
Yeah.
I can't. When I explain this to people, I've never heard a single person go, yeah, I feel like the old Bill had a point there. Not a single person.
No, I can't see it. I can't see it.
So I almost wish it had gone to court.
Yeah.
Because I'll probably get more followers on Instagram now.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, social media.
About, yeah.
So for you then, that means you've got to take this leap of faith into the comedy then, because it's been building anyway, hasn't it? You just, like you say, 10 years of the 14, you were gigging and doing as a hobby at first, open mic, and building your skills and that skill set to fulfill young Mike's dream to be a comic.
Yeah.
So now you're taking the leap of faith. And how's that feel?
Yeah, well, I say it's been a slow transition. So when I left the police, I did work for the National Trust for a while, as a trainer. So work from home, because at that moment, because we were still off the back of COVID, I was basically still in the process of building what I had back up. I hadn't been a pro that long, so it's very easy to be forgotten in this game. There's a lot of great comics.
Yeah. And
if you are just, not something someone's thought about for a while, it can take a little bit of a while. You could lose momentum very easily. People who book you go off and get other jobs. Like, for example, I used to work a bit for, there's a great gig just by the Embankment tube station, Tatchell Castle.
Yeah.
Little boat. The boat show is called. I used to work for them a bit. And then the person who booked me went on maternity leave. New person didn't know me, can't get back in.
Yeah.
And that's how this industry can be. So so I thought, well, I'll get a job where I work from home and I can really build a career. 12-month fixed term contract has turned into 4 years. So actually I've still been working there, but I finish in end of August, but I go to Australia for a whole month. So really this week is my last week working.
Okay.
Now we are at leap of faith stage.
Yeah.
But I'm in a much more comfortable position than I was. So transition has been slow, but it's just, I'm married, I've got a mortgage, I've got 2 kids.
Yeah.
I'm not in that position where I can just go, all right, well, we're all just going to skip lunch for a while and hope daddy gets some gigs in, So
yeah. That's sort of been my life since going self-employed. That's how I lost all the weight when I left the police. Didn't eat for a little while. But so I think with comedy, though, this is the bit that interests me, because obviously I know the policing career and I know how tough it is and I know what sort of mental health and resilience you're going to have. You're going to have the up and down of your mental health, the good, the bad and the ugly. But comedy, I know nothing, right? I see them on TV. And that's usually, you go back into the times before social media, they'd have had to go through like New Faces or, the TV programs, stuff like that to get themselves known. I think now with social media, there's a lot more exposure for people. But that circuit, that actual comedy circuit, we don't see them as members of the public until they're your Jimmy Carrs, your Jason Manfords, the people that we see on TV every week. But there's a lot more to it, isn't there? Because they've come through the same circuit, right?
Yeah. So, one of the key things to think about with comedy, and if anyone is listening is ever thinking about it, there's a saying, that I think it goes, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, love that.
Is that you can spend way too much time worrying about how quickly other people make it than you, right? There are some comics that have got TV within 2 or 3 years. And when did I actually do my first gig? I did my first ever try of comedy in 2010. Just did one gig.
Yeah.
And then it took another about 18 months before I did a second one. So if we include that, I've been going 15 years.
Yeah.
I ain't done a drop of telly.
Okay.
Sometimes that frustrates me.
Yeah.
But I'm just on a different path. I can't worry about the only thing that you can focus on. And do you know what? I don't always get this right. Sometimes I look at someone and go, do one. I should be there. But you can't worry about that. You just have to focus on your own stuff. Do you know what? Now I've got to the point now where somebody might make thousands of pounds, do loads of telly work. I might make hundreds of pounds and do circuit work. But if somebody I respect says to me, that was sick, you smashed that.
Yeah.
And then that same person watches someone on telly and goes, they're not very good. That's the triumph there.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the exposure. What did you get in the game for? I got in the game because I love comedy and I want people to think I'm funny.
Yeah.
Money comes, money goes.
Yeah.
If I've come off stage and someone goes, you smash that, that's worth thousands of pounds to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's just words, but that's why I got into it. I set myself small targets when I started. So I'll be like, I want to play this club.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only focus. I can't worry about I want to be on telly. What are you worrying about telly for? You can't even play that club yet.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the thing I'll do is I'll focus on that. Like, one thing that I've never had an agent, right? I had, when I was very new, I had a local agent who helped get local gigs and stuff, but not in the true sense of the word. And it used to frustrate me. And then I look at that and go, well, why is an agent going to pick you up? You don't have an hour. You don't have a show. What about you is marketable? And so now my focus is on becoming marketable. A small step. Stop worrying about the big stuff. Take control of what you can take control of. And you'll find this journey a lot more fun.
Yeah. And a good thing for all life, isn't it? Those short-term goals, keep having those and control the controllables.
Yeah.
Can't worry about the uncontrollables.
No.
Because, everybody's on a different path. Everyone's on a different journey and people will... Yeah. And I do it. I look at social media and I go, my story is my unique selling point. The same thing. I've got to think about marketability. It's not something you learn in the police, but since coming out, you've got to think about how marketable you are, how you can scale yourself, how you can be your unique selling point. And I look at people and go, how have they got that contract?
Yeah.
How have I been missed for that?
Yeah, yeah.
But you're right. You've got to put it out of your mind, because if you do think like that, then you get consumed by it.
Yeah.
And you will not get anywhere, and you'll just be that bitter, resenting person who's not moving forward, just thinking that the world owes you something. And quite clearly, I truly believe that the world is what you make of it. We are the creators of our own reality. If we want something, we think, we visualise, and we can achieve that.
Yeah.
But setting those goals must be great.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you a question.
Go on.
First ever gig. You said 2010, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel going into that? How do you feel during it, and how do you feel afterwards? What are the 3 phases there for you?
Okay, so looking back on that first gig, it's one of those things where if I was more aware of how insane it was to take it on, I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
So basically, going back to when I had that operation on my leg, and I had a femoral embolism. I come out of it and I go, right, you focus on now trying to achieve this dream. So I started to write comedy, and I'd been writing comedy my whole life.
Yeah.
Right? I just never knew what to do with it. So I basically just sort of cobbled together some of the ideas, chucked a whole load of what we call hack stuff in. Like, this is what new acts think people want to hear. Right?
Okay.
So it's like tends to be your extreme, like porn stuff and filth and wanking and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yep.
And you just stick it all in. And I put together 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I can't remember. And I was like, right, I don't know what to do with this now. I was so detached from the world of comedy and the set, I didn't know what to do. Now, at the time, my wife was working at Southampton University, and she knew the person who booked the comedy night that they held on Thursdays or Tuesdays, whatever it was. And she was talking to him and said, oh, Mike's really trying to get into it. He's really interested. And he kindly said, well, does he want to come and do 5 minutes at this show? And I just went, I don't know if I'm going to get this opportunity again. I don't know where.
Yeah.
If I say no to this, then what happens?
Yeah.
So I just said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's insanely stupid because this is a professional lineup. I was on with Stuart Goldsmith, Comedian podcast.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
You know, again, done a bit of TV work, but, you know, very well established in the circuit. Robert White, runner-up in Britain's Got Talent the same year that Lost Voice guy won.
Okay, yep.
Pro acts. And there's me going on to do my first 5.
Yeah.
I didn't realise how big that was at the time.
Okay.
Right? So I was nervous, but I don't believe I was anywhere near as nervous as I should have been.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I went up and no amount of rehearsal could get me to understand what it's like when you see an entire room. There must have been 100 and something people in there, my first ever show. 100 and something people looking at me, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, I've listened to comedy more than I've seen it at this stage. So I just sort of like get the mic and then I speak and I don't remember most of the stuff I said.
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting a handful of laughs and I came off and I've gone, okay, well, that wasn't a death.
Yeah.
That was fun. Now what? Like, it just made me feel like I can do this then. If I can survive that on my first ever show, maybe there is something in there that's worth exploring.
Yeah.
Like, if I'd have died on my arse badly, maybe we wouldn't be here now.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something in me. And then after that, about a year later, because again, I tried to find gigs. Like, you know, I'm from a working class background. Dad was a truck driver. Mum, stay-at-home mum. Like, I don't know anyone who has achieved anything in what you might call art.
Yes.
Or the world of entertainment. Nothing.
Yeah.
Never went to watch it. Like, say you grow up with limited funds, your parents don't take you to the theatre. You don't. I just didn't know anything.
Mm.
I basically found a comedy course in Brighton run by Jill Edwards, right? And I give her a little plug because she saved my life probably. And did that course. And some people might argue, you can't teach comedy. You can't. Well, I don't know whether you can convert some people to comedians.
Yes.
But you can teach comedy. Even if you're just teaching somebody to understand it better, which is actually something I'll plug later on. So I did that course and she helped me get a 5-minute set quicker than you would do on your own. what she also did was introduce me to people who are on the same path as you, who want to do comedy, and introduce to people who run gigs. Now, all of a sudden, I am in this world that 6 weeks or however long the course was, 8 weeks before, I wouldn't have known what to do.
Yeah.
Did her course, did an advanced course, which is where she really helps you write material. Did that for about 8 weeks again. I did my first 5-minute spot, August or July 2011. Never stopped. So did open mic as much as you could. Like back then I was on shift, so you maybe did sort of 4 or 5 a month.
Yeah.
Eventually worked myself up to doing a bit more paid stuff, get myself into the training department, bang.
Yeah.
And then I'm full time. And so going on to your question there then is you just basically have to keep going. That's what another piece of advice I would say to people is most of the people who in comedy who make it are the people that never stopped.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of great comics who, for whatever reasons, things happen in their personal life, you know, if I hadn't found another job that allowed me to work as hard in comedy, you know, maybe I would have gone back to another job that meant I couldn't do it. You know, I know lots of people who are fantastic acts who just sort of fade away for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. Most of the people who make it are the ones that stick with it. That's where I feel like I am. I've stuck with it long enough now, whereas I work professionally in like in what you might know as circuit clubs. So Comedia in Brighton, Bath, Glee clubs, which is probably the country's biggest brand of weekend comedy clubs. That's where I tend to operate.
Okay.
So yeah, I do that circuit. And the mindset of that is that you have to be resilient in that the work is inconsistent.
Okay.
So celebrate the fact that you've got a nice weekend at Glee, but remember that money probably has to last you the next weekend when you're doing £75 at the Dog and Duck, you know, like ebbs and flows. And that can be tough.
Yeah.
When 1 minute you feel like you're getting somewhere, next minute you don't. So that's a tough thing. Posting online is a new thing. Right? I never got into it to do that, but it really does help in this career. But it takes another strong approach to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because with the circuit is, you are exposing yourself in a comedy club to people who may not like you. It's not like if you're a touring comedian where your fans are your fans and they love everything you say.
Yeah.
Circuit comics, you're going out and, you know, most of the audience will like you if you've worked really hard on your stuff. And you know, even if people don't enjoy, comedy fans may still appreciate what you're doing without thinking you're the best at it.
Yes. Social
media exposes you to absolute planks who don't even like comedy.
Right, okay.
And then there's a space for them to put their opinion on your video. That is something that you have to do. And I'm not there yet. Like sometimes people will say negative stuff on my videos and stuff like that. And most of the time I'll just reply on there and say, thanks for engaging with my content, because all of that helps boost the algorithms and stuff.
Of course.
In my weaker moments, there are times where I'll go, who the hell do you think you're talking to, you mug?
Yeah. So, that biting back for a second. Yeah. And then you realise, actually, that's not professional. I can't do that.
And it don't look good.
No.
And I've made that mistake a few times.
Yeah.
Where I've tried to get people to, where people have been rude, you just go, behave yourself, mate.
Yeah.
But actually, when you look at it, is people who like you also don't want to see you get drawn into arguments with bellends.
No, they don't, because they can see where it's going to go.
Yeah. And I think it shows a bit of weakness. And that's something I'm actually full of, you know, is that like that anger and that rage of how dare you talk to me like that?
Yeah.
Like, where do you get up? And I mean, looking at it selfishly, I don't want to be supposed to that. But I also, like, I've got in arguments with people who've commented on my friend's stuff.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
And I don't know whether this is that ingrained thing of being a police officer where you're just like, that's an injustice.
Yeah.
You know, I must deal with that.
Yeah.
Social media's a different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Necessary tool. Probably the same as me. You've got your own views on it in terms of how we used to have to deal with it within the police, because it's used poorly by the majority of people that phone the police.
Yeah.
But essential for the likes of you and I to build businesses now.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It is really difficult not to sometimes put something when someone criticises you or whatever. I think within your profession as well, some people would say you are putting yourself out there for that sort of criticism is going to come. You've got to sort of expect it to an extent because you are standing up in front of people. And the other thing that always fascinates me with comedians, how do you deal with a hostile crowd? People who are going to heckle you, you're going to get that because people want their 15 minutes of fame. So they want to heckle the person that's up on the stage in the spotlight. You know, I've seen it with Jimmy Carr, with Greg Davies, with people like that. They heckle them. How do you deal with those two aspects? A hostile crowd that may heckle you, but a crowd that might not laugh?
Yeah.
How do you deal with it? And how does it affect you?
So there's different reasons why people might not laugh.
Right.
Like,
okay.
So, and I think one of the skills as being a performer is identifying what that reason is. So sometimes the environment's not right. So you can recognise sometimes that as an act, you'll get up there and things are not landing as heavily as you'd like. Sometimes you'll look out and you'll see people smiling, but they're not making any sound, right? And sometimes that can be well-lit rooms are a problem.
Okay.
Because when people see each other, and they can all see each other, no one wants to be the one seen laughing. They're all a little bit more conscious of themselves. You'll find that you'll get a different reaction. Sometimes it might be because your joke's not funny.
Yeah.
Right? And as long as you can identify that reason, obviously doing new stuff, like there's different environments where you can do new stuff. What you'll find is if you are in a gig where everyone's expecting new stuff, you'll probably get some titters that help you survive. Mm-hmm. Some comics, and I do this, is that I might be at a pro gig, and if I'm feeling pretty confident with a new bit, I might stick it in the middle. And I have had it before where I've entirely lost momentum, and the bit in the middle sucks. You can feel that the room's not going for it. But what we've cleverly done is you've built enough trust in the room at the beginning, so when you have that lull in the middle, you spot it as an act, and you go, right, okay, I'm not getting what I want out of this. Abandon ship and then go back into material and bring it back.
Okay.
So you can recognise that it's not your bit. It's your bit that's the problem. Sometimes you might come across a crowd that just doesn't like your stuff. Now, if you know that stuff works somewhere else, it's easy just to go, this is not my crowd. I'll do what I can, but I'm not going to blame them because they don't like it. All right? That's where a lot of acts can go wrong. You know, they can get frustrated with a crowd, and you know, it's very rarely that a crowd will turn up and not want to enjoy comedy. Apart from Christmas, they suck. You know?
Right, okay.
Because the Christmas gigs are always full of work colleagues that have all been dragged because they got outvoted on what they wanted to do. Yeah. And now you've got a lot of people that don't like comedy. So they suck, but you know that. So there's lots of different reasons why stuff bombs. When your stuff is bombing that you thought was great, and it sucks, a lot of the time I come off and go, I can't do comedy. I can't do it. I thought this was going to land and it didn't. How have I got so bad at this? That's something that can affect me. But I am fortunately somebody who has built up, I guess, again, to use that word, resilience, in that, I can accept when it's my fault. Yeah. I can look at that and go, what went wrong there? That joke is about a topic that people don't want to hear about, or you haven't approached it from the right angle, or you haven't found the funny yet, or sometimes tone is important. Yeah. You know, maybe I've gone too aggressive, because recognizing what you look like and how people perceive you is a really important part of comedy. Now, I'm quite big, right? I'm 6'1.5", right?
The half-inch mats.
6'1" if I ever end up back on the dating apps, right?
Yep.
And it took me a long time to realise, but some people find me quite imposing. Yeah. So when I walk out on stage, I go, oh, look at this big fella, working class accent. They expect a certain thing. And sometimes when you approach a topic from an angle that is perceived as aggressive, people won't find the funny in it. And I've made that mistake a lot. And it's taken me a long time to go, oh, people actually see me. I always see myself as a bit of a softie, did a lot of drama growing up. You know, I like the theatre and the cricket and that sort of thing. But people look at me and go, they only see maybe that 9 months I was a forklift driver. That's what he is. He's that. Yeah. He's that working class, big boy. He'll have a fight, he'll have a tear up. When he says something, he means it. Brexit, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So recognising how people are perceiving what you're saying is really important. And then to move on to your next bit about hecklers,
Yeah.
deal with every situation on its own merit, fundamentally.
Okay.
I'm quite good at it
Yeah.
because I don't mind having that to and fro. It only becomes really difficult for me when people don't know they've been done.
Yeah.
Like, I'll happily have a laugh with you, and if someone heckles me and it's funny, I can go, "That's pretty funny, that.
Yeah.
Well done, mate."
Yeah.
If they carry on, I'll go, "Right, you had your moment.
Yep.
Let me do my job."
Yep.
And I'll try to be polite. If it goes on again, I've got no business ruining your life. No problem ruining it. I'll just go like,
Yeah.
"You're an absolute." I don't even know how much I can swear on this podcast, but I'll say some pretty rank stuff to you.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I can do that as long as I don't mind it, as long as it's not disruptive.
Yeah.
Because it does affect the people around you who want to listen to your stuff. It does affect you because I haven't come to have a conversation with some twat. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'll embrace a certain degree of it. It won't derail me,
No.
but it will if it carries on beyond the scope of healthy interaction. What social media has done is, because of the sharing of a lot of videos where there's a lot of crowd interaction, a lot of people think that's what comedy is now.
Yeah, I must admit, you comedians like Paul Smith and stuff. Their act is built around that interaction, and they're good at thinking on their feet and making that funny with the observations. But yeah, I think certain things now people expect. Oh, I'm going to get a lot of interaction. Whereas I think if I went to a comedy club 15 years ago, I'd expect to sit there and be entertained.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's become more common now. You're heckling and you're getting involved and stuff. And some clubs are better than others in dealing with that.
Does it not give you sometimes, though, when we talk social media, does it not give you sometimes a bit of comedy gold if you've had someone heckle you and you come back with a good one-liner? Do you not think there's a reel there straight
100%.
away? Yeah.
Yeah. I record most of my gigs for that purpose. One of the issues that happens with that is you put something on there and the comment you get, a lot of people get this, "Oh, this one just thinks they're Paul Smith."
Yeah.
Paul Smith didn't invent audience interaction.
No.
He marketed it in a genius way and has capitalised to the maximum with it, and fair play to him. He gets a lot of grief on the circuit because people just go, "Oh, well, all he does is just like, what'd you do? Do you know what I mean? He's built an audience.
Yeah.
Like, that audience is there for the taking, and he took it. Like, Paul Smith is not to blame for identifying a way to market himself, find an audience, and make money.
No.
Yes, there is a bit of a ripple effect, but we just have to deal with that. It's not Paul Smith's fault. What the audience need to realise is that Paul Smith did not invent comedy.
No.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
So there is going to, that audience interaction. There's only so many things that you can talk to a stranger about.
Yeah.
Who you with?
Yeah.
You've got a partner. What do you do for a living?
It's pure observational, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it is that, yeah. And yeah, you can sort of build the same rapport every time and use that.
Yeah.
But so in terms of comedians that you look up to now, you were talking as a kid, you aspired to be because of your granddad's influence and Jethro, that's going back some.
Yeah.
And then you think about the ones that you were watching in the craft. Now, as you're going around the circuit, who do you aspire to? Do you look at bits of their act and think, oh, yeah, I could twist my rapport into doing that?
There are a lot of acts that I watch and I just go, "Oh, why didn't I think of that?" Like, that feels like something I should have thought of and didn't.
Yeah.
So you do get a fair bit of that. There is one thing I would encourage people to do is don't just follow the acts that you see on TV. There are some great acts out there with great content, so podcasts and stuff like that, that because people are not on telly, a lot of the time the audience feels like they're not good enough, like, or they don't respect them. But there's only so much telly.
Yeah.
There's more comedians than there are telly.
Yes.
Right? And, yes, there is also a lot of terrible stuff out there. There is a lot of comics putting stuff out there that is not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Right? Podcasts that I will never listen to, just because there's so many.
Yeah.
But, like, the good thing about now is you get to find comedians you like or people that you like, influences anyway, and you get to basically build your own entertainment.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit through EastEnders to wait for Coronation Street anymore.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you're right. Someone had a conversation with me the other day and they were saying we were watching live TV and their daughter's going, can you just fast forward to the adverts? And I'm like, this is live.
Yeah.
If you don't want live, then pause the telly, go off and do some other stuff and then come back half an hour later and you can fast forward through the adverts.
Yeah.
But I think, people don't realise we only had 4 channels when we were growing up. Maybe 5 when it was there.
Yeah.
We had to watch all the adverts. Now they don't know they're there. And you're right, they can then go, do you know what? I'm going to watch 30 seconds of this clip. And reels have made attention spans so short.
Yeah.
30 seconds and then our human brain goes, no, thank you. I'll go on to the next one.
Yeah.
So you're right. We get to pick what we want as our entertainment.
Yeah.
So what's next for Mike then? Where's your career going? What's the aims?
So at the moment, just steadily focusing on producing. So basically, I try to write a new 20 every sort of 18 months. I'm in the process of trying to create a new 20. I'm a serial procrastinator. So I've had an Edinburgh show in the pipeline for about 4 years, mate.
Okay.
I struggle. I'm one of them people where unless I can see the direct results of that creation, I struggle to get my head into it.
Yeah.
At the moment, I can't see when I'm ever going to get back to Edinburgh, right? Because it's expensive. My daughter was born in August. Sorry, her birthday's in August is a far more sensible way to explain that. So I have lots of reasons why I'm probably not going to go to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
But not having a show is one of the things that's stopping me being marketable to agents.
Yeah.
So I'm caught in this little bit like, well, I could get the show, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But if I don't have it, then how am I going to do that? So currently in the process of trying to build a show. What I'm also trying to do, just touching upon what I said earlier on about you teaching comedy, I'm actually creating a comedy course.
Okay.
Which I want to start in January 2026. It's going to be based in Winchester. And basically it's for people like me when I started out. So it's essentially a 6-week course where, and I'm not just for people who want to do stand-up. It's for people who want to understand it.
Yeah.
People who want a social circle. People who just want a bit more confidence, public speaking.
Yeah.
Lots of stags, so lots of best men who want to write stuff.
Yeah,
you know, who struggle to
for the material and content ideas. Yeah,
how to write that, how to be short, sharp, punchy. We're going to teach all of that with the view that there'll be a showcase at the end. So if somebody wants to, bucket list stuff of doing a gig, there'll be one at the end of that.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that. So any listeners interested in that, Funny People Comedy Club is my comedy club, my business. Me and my wife run it, and I'm just going to basically run it through that. So we have a website, funnypeoplecomedyclub.com. So if anyone is interested, keep an eye out for that whenever I do end up releasing it. So that's basically where I'm at the minute.
Yeah, and anybody who wants to follow you on Insta, because for me, we've touched on social media. I've kept track of your career because we haven't always kept that close since leaving. We obviously had the bond of working together, and I reached out to you when I was doing this because I thought you'd be a perfect guest, and it's proved right. I think that I follow your career from Insta. So what's your handle on Insta so everyone knows so they can follow you there?
It's comedy_Mike.
Cool. And you put so much stuff out, and I've seen some bits where you've been doing some interaction with the crowds. I've liked that. And your material, I've really enjoyed watching you grow. So that's really good. And I think, anybody that wants to get into comedy, you're a perfect person to look at and go, yeah, look, you've done it alongside a tough career, doing a tough career. Yeah. So, you've got that dual diagnosis there almost.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one's harder, to be fair. I think having get up on stage and do my bit as well, I think both have some real challenges to it. And the mental health side of it is a big part of it, good and bad. Because like you say, you come off and reflect sometimes and think, I don't think I should be doing this anymore. Yeah. And then I bet other times you walk off stage going, I'm the best in the world.
Yeah, how have I not done live at the Apollo yet? So,
yeah. How am I not on Britain's Got Talent and winning it? For me, I think that course seems like it'd be very good, and I can see from all walks of life why somebody would want to do that. Just a bit of confidence, stage presence, hobby, and like you say, there's a market there for people, like your best men who are writing speeches and learning comedic timing, because again, that ends up on the internet, on social media, and how many I've seen now of good best men speeches on reels and stuff.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, it is. So I'd be really interested to follow where that course comes from. What was the website again?
So funnypeoplecomedyclub.com. So eventually when I have it in place, because at the moment I'm writing course content. So episodes, lessons 1 and 2 are completely written, lesson plans and everything like that. Just trying to flesh out the remaining 4, which I am earmarked to do when I come back from holiday in September. So hopefully over the rest of the year, I'll push that out, ready to start training and teaching people in January.
Exciting times. Another branch off as well, isn't it? It gives something else coming in. And
yeah, exactly.
You know as well as I do that those revenue streams are important. You know, having more strings to your bow, the better you are. But
that's it, yeah.
Look, it's been really great talking to you today, Mike. And I know we swung the lamp a little bit around the police stuff. Yeah. And I'm sure people who haven't been in the police will love to listen to that and understand from the inside what we experienced. But also amazing to hear about how you do the comedy circuit. And for me, you know, that's blown my mind a little bit, and I've learned a lot today. So thank you for coming on.
No, thanks for having me, mate. It's been nice catching up.
So that brings another episode of Hello You to an end. Thank you for listening, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being you. This was Hello You, where real conversations create real change. If today's episode moved you, challenged you, or simply made you feel seen, then share it, talk about it, and be part of the ripple. And remember, no matter where you are or what you're facing, you're never alone in this. We're building something together, and there's always room for you. I'm Dan Darwin, and until next time, be kind to your mind, be kind to yourself, and hello, you.